Please bear with me if I'm a little bit nervous. But the topic of today is going to be simple. One topic, and we're going to talk about Wyckoff. The Wyckoff price circle. We've been speaking about this in the past, but it's a few months back. So if you're here, I just always, want to announce that because, since I don't do these streams so often at the moment, I don't just want to, throw a few coins out there, but try to give you, based on what good old Wyckoff is saying and where we potentially could be in the cycle, in the accumulation cycle. And I maybe don't speak about it so much, but I do always try to follow it. And I think he's an old, wise man. Yeah. So God bless Wyckoff, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And I am, however, going to be streaming the next 3 days. So tomorrow's already going to be better. Anyway, guys, I think we should start. And you know how it goes. It always goes a little something like this. Let's see how it goes here. I cannot even find it here. There we go. I want to welcome you to Crypto Never Sleeps. In case you're new to this channel and you want to stay on top of the crypto world, well then do me a favor, hit like, smash, and subscribe and all them goodies so that you can be notified every time we upload new videos, so that you can, and this is important to me, so that you can protect your wealth, preserve your wealth, and ultimately increase your wealth and become among the 1%. My name is Nico Arachi, and I'm the host of the littlest crypto channel on the interweb. First things first, as we always, why is it that we always look at these four charts, right? We look at Bitcoin, obviously, we look at Ethereum, we look at Polkadot, and we look at Cardano. Some of the big four, and we always like to look at them because we are still in a market that is kind of inefficient, right? And I believe that tends to be manipulated. And when we're looking here at these 15-minute charts, we can see that they always follow each other. However, there are a few things I want to point out today. So we got lots to talk about. I'm how I like those hockey sticks, right? And the first thing let's go in here, LPT, and look at live beer. And if we go in here, look at that live beer, 7 days. Now that's what I'm talking about, a hockey stick. Now, obviously, it's only 26%, and we expect much higher, right? But I believe that this is what's going to come. And that's also, if you watch the portfolio update, you will see, why do we have so many various positions? Well, because you never know which coin is going to go first. Of course, we have this anticipation that when money comes into the crypto market, first it trickles into Bitcoin and then it goes down to Ethereum and some of the big 10. Who would have thought? Live beer. Another little hockey stick, but it's a nice hockey stick if you go in and look at it on 7 days, right? When you go into and look at it a month, also okay. When you look at it a year, not so impressive. And when you look at it, since inception, not at all. But I believe this hockey stick is, it can come across the board. Another little hockey stick, and obviously Betty, she holds live beer, right? We love it. Just before we move on to the next little coin here, I want to show a hockey stick. Remember, everything I say and do should not be considered financial advice because, as you know, I don't know shit about crypto. That's about that. The other one where we also have been entering quite low is Moonbeam. If we look here, let's go, and maybe we have to go a month. There you go. That was another hockey stick. Not as also a beautiful, also 26%. It's like boom, and especially, I don't know if you can see it here, down here where it says coin market cap. You can see that the volume has also increased. So these are just two good things from Betty's portfolio that I wanted to point out. But then, before we're going to talk too much about Wyckoff, I also do wanted just to point out a little bit about perhaps where we are. Because if there's one thing I want to tell you guys, that is, I think now it's time. I'm not sure we're ever gonna really go down again. And I do want to congratulate all of you. We'll go to the chat in a second. Now, if history is an indication of what's going to come in the future, then we should have a little look at this here, because so we go in here and we look at Bitcoin. Remember, now this is the chart where we go back to December 2017. Now, I'm a firm believer that by 2025, probably we're gonna, see Bitcoin and the overall market having gone beyond the previous all-time high. So just if we look a little bit, where were we? It took 3 years basically from Bitcoin last cycle when it hit its previous all-time high to go to around 20K, as we can see here. Around 3 years, right? From 17 to 20. So where were we then just 2 years later? If we take December 17 and we go to December 19, we were around here, around 7,000 at that time. So around 1/3 of the previous all-time high at 20. But basically from there, it made a drop down, that's true. But then it just, bam, went up, right? And we do expect, just like the last cycle, 20,000 was approximately 3 times higher than the previous cycle's all-time high. So we took the 20,000 times 3, and then we went to up around 60, right? This was the high that we had here in November 2021. So now, almost we have November 2023, and we can see down here, this is basically where we were talking about this could be the bottom, and we have already gone from the bottom around 15,000 to where we currently are trading 27,000. But let's see what Wyckoff also says to this. But, even if Wyckoff should be wrong, he's an old fart, and number one is the one you should be listening to, or let's just see the previous cycles. I think we have already, this lift off here is quite significant. And just for your own, do yourself a favor if you want to pay attention here today about Wyckoff. Look at the volume here. It's important that we pay attention because Wyckoff is saying a thing or two about this volume, so that's kind of good. And now, when I'm speaking, just 1 second of technical analysis. It's good to see that on the on the weekly, we can see that Bitcoin has moved above the 7-day moving average. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Anyway, let's go to the chat before we move on to Wyckoff and see if is anybody here who wants to chit chat. So let me see. How many are watching today? Wow, we got 17 people watching. I'm telling you, I'm proud of this. It is funny. When we started this channel, I remember, and then Shahidi also remember that I think we had, 17. I think we had more than 17 people watching when we just started the channel. But crypto, at the moment, is not really where people, wanna watch. Because remember, the sheep, they buy high and sell low. And I will say, now we only got 14 watching, but I can tell you, all you 14, you are lions and you should congratulate yourself. And I truly hope that you have been able to accumulate some coins for the right pocket, for the left pocket, and the back pocket. What do you say, CryptoDachshund? Download Noodle. Yeah, I think Noodle. I think it's a beautiful dot. We're gonna do a dot update also this week because good things are going on. What do you say, Dominic? Have a look at the Humans project. I know all team from. Okay, we will have a look at that. And Dashti Jaffa, how are you doing? You must be new too. A lot of new, sexy, beautiful people around here. And Sean Kelly, good to see you. Okay, so let's go in and it's gonna be it's interesting, but of course, what do you come here for? A bit of education, right? If you want to just have fun and hanky-panky, then you call Jerry from the team because she's always down at the bar called Kakadu, just around the corner from Black Mamba. Anyway, so let's go, guys. I think this is highly, highly interesting what we're going to be talking about here with Wyckoff today. Especially I find it interesting because it seems that we could, there are things that the patterns seem very similar. And if blockchain bully is not here to right now, then especially for blockchain bully, this is also important. For those of you who do not know blockchain bully, well, he is one of our viewers, or one of my favorites. But he is a firm believer that we were still going to see Bitcoin go back down to 12 before we are then going to ultimately go up. And it's funny because I don't think we're going to go there. And exactly, so pay attention to this, exactly at this point, if we're going to go further down to 12 or not, Wyckoff has two different views on that. So first of all, who was Wyckoff? Well, he's an old individual who has been able to predict and understand how the market is being, simply put, manipulated, right? I mean, as we understand today, also when we're looking at politics, right? Left is right and right is left and up is down and down is up. Sister Shelly, she is Brother Jamal. We got LBGQT and all them shit things. We got politics where everybody is lying. We understand that now. We got a fraudulent fiat monetary system. Everything we hear is basically we got to anticipate the opposite. And why am I saying that? Is because Wyckoff, he was actually able to identify how the trends of the market and who, the people with lots of money, how they were able to basically get the retail investors hooked and basically trick them out a little bit. So by understanding the Wyckoff price cycle, we are able to invest like the big boys. So what he said here is the market can be understood and anticipated through detailed analysis of, and it all comes down to supply and demand, which can be ascertained from studying price action, volume, and time. Obviously, the price of the coins, volume is important, and of course, timing the market is very difficult. So as he was a broker, he was observing the activities of very successful investors who dominated the specific issues. Consequently, he was able to decipher, via the use of charts, the future intentions of large investors. So he has been able to come up with two charts, schematics, as he called them, and where the concept, he's tried to portray the concept so we can prepare for the execution of the bull and bear markets. And, if you're new to this channel, then I'm sorry, but if you follow us from the beginning, then you know exactly that we were able to identify the market at low. We enjoyed the rally up to almost 60,000, and we sold, and now we've been buying in. But who believes me and who believes so? But anyways, Wyckoff is who knows, right? I just think that it is kind of interesting, almost like a conspiracy theory. So the Wyckoff's price cycle, goes that he believes that he can predict when the market is oversold, and when it's oversold, of course, this is the accumulation phase or area, and then when it goes up, then the distribution area is basically when we sell. As I pointed out, he has two charts or two patterns or schematics or schematic as he called it. Schematic 1 and schematic 2. And this is all in the phase of accumulation. Now, the only place that you have to pay attention is in the phase C. Only in the phase C is there a difference. And I will point it out here. So in the schematic here, number 1, we can see that in phase C, we should go lower than the previous low that we basically had in, let me go over and show you, that we basically had in, when was it here? One second. The low in Bitcoin that we had here, when was it? In November 2022. So this is what that's scheme number 1. We should go down there very, very quickly with low volume, go below the previous low that we saw in November, and that will basically be a bear trap. Now that would be now if we get, and I think that's what blockchain bully is talking about. And if we're going to go down there with low volume, then everybody would kind of understand that this is a a bear trap. Let's enter the market, and then we're really going to be able to get, Bitcoin and all the coins at very, very low prices. However, the schematic number 2 in phase C is where Wyckoff is saying it's a little bit more difficult to identify, but it doesn't necessarily, the price doesn't necessarily have to go below the previous low that we identify as 15,000. And I think that we are here in the accumulation schematic number 2. Anyway, this is kind of important, so in order to follow what we're going to go through. There's a lot of he uses a lot of PS stands for preliminary support. Anyway, that's not so important right now. I will point that out when we go along. It's only going to take another 10 minutes, then we're done. So first of all, okay, let's just go up here. First of all, we can see here the market comes down, it's oversold, we reach a bottom, and then we kind of slowly have a longer accumulation phase until we then should push up. This is how we look. This is the actual Bitcoin chart. And I mean, when I look at it, it's so you can see we got phase A, we got phase B, we got phase C, we got phase D, and then E should be where we really take off. So what Wyckoff is important here in phase A. This is where we identify the low. And with SC, and that is the selling climax. This is the point which widening spread and selling pressure usually climaxes, and heavy or panically selling by the public is being absorbed by larger professional interests at or near bottom. Often price will close well off the low in a selling climax, reflecting the buying by these large investors. Now, I think you probably remember, first we thought we would see 12,000, but around 15,000 we said probably is a good time to get in. But this was, however, not the ultimate low. So in phase A, let's so this is phase A, phase B, and let's go in and see what he explains in phase A. In phase A, it marks the stopping of the prior downtrend, and up to this point, supply has been dominant, right? Supply and demand. There's been more supply, more selling. These events are often very obvious on bar charts. That's why we are looking at the bar charts. We can see we went down, 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 and hit a low in phase A. Remember, but we need a further low confirmation in phase B, not in C. Let me back here. So as I said, these are obvious on bar charts to see, where widening spread and heavy volume depict the transfer of huge numbers of shares from the public to large professional investors. Once these intense selling pressure have been relieved, an automatic rally consisting of both institutional demand for shares as well as short covering typically ensures. So a successful secondary test in the area of, I always forget what this is, what this stands for, this SC, for the selling climax, will show less selling than previously and narrowing a spread and decreased volume. Always about volume. So generally stopping at or above the same price level as the selling climax. If, and then if you wonder what ST is here, it is secondary test. I will get to that there in a second. It's a little bit complicated. That's also why you should educate yourself on this. If the secondary goes lower than that of the selling climax, one can anticipate either new lows or prolonged consolidation. The lows of the SC and fuck me, I forget the SC is selling climax and the secondary test, and the high of the AR set the boundaries of the trading range. Let me show it here. So we can see here the SC down here, that is the selling climax. So what he's basically saying here, we will go down quickly, but we will not close at the bottom, so we can already see that there's some interest. This is where the institutionals are coming in. So basically, this is where we kind of identify the end of the bear market. We go up, and then we enter into phase B. What, however, is important, and you should pay attention also to this line here. This is the trading range. And you would see here we start the selling here. And what is the PS? That is the preliminary support. I mean, it sounds cryptic and it sounds conspiracy, but all these lines, they really add up. And that's what to his model here. It's beautiful. You see, this line here goes exactly, if you would, to take it longer, it goes all the way. And this is the preliminary support. So as we were going down, as you can see here, we go down, we make this yellow line. This is the preliminary support line. Then from the high that we see here in phase A, we can make this trading range. And this will then ultimately become more important as we move on to the different phases. So when we move into phase, so that means in phase A, we have been able to establish the trading ranges. In the phase B, this serves as the function of building a cause for the new uptrend. We need to be sure that the market is going to go up. So institutions and large investors are accumulating low-priced inventory in anticipation of the next markup. And remember, I've always, or last year now, been saying we should buy the identify market leaders at 50 to 90% below from the previous all-time highs. So we're trying to do what these professional investors are doing. Here in blue, it states the process of institutional accumulation may take a long time, sometimes a year or more, and involves purchasing coins shares at lower prices. I'm happy that he points this out, because and this is also, if we look at the price of Bitcoin, where it's been, trading around 26,000 the last 6 months, and prior to that it was lower. It's been kind of, for every investor, boring, to say the least, especially the retail investors that sell, buy high and sell low. But it's actually, if you think about it, we have had a lot of time to accumulate and identify the market leaders of tomorrow. So what he's saying here, there are usually multiple secondary tests during phase B, as well as an upthrust type action at the upper end of the trading range. Overall, the large interests are net buyers of shares as the trading range evolves, with the goal of acquiring as much of the remaining floating supply as possible. It's also, so it's important because, retail investors, they lose their patience pretty quickly. But the longer this period takes, and that is basically institutional and smart investors, they're waiting for the not so smart investors to offload their coins at cheap prices. What is important here down on the bottom here, early in phase B, the price swings tend to be wide and accompanied by high volume. If we go in here, you can see this is also Bitcoin with volume. And you can see as if remember, it's my best guess that we are currently in phase B. But if we look here at phase B and identify, we can see that the volume has increased. And of course, it's important that the volume increases after we believe that we have identified the end of the, let's say, selling bear market cycle. So we can see the volume has increased here, which is good. So what do you say? And accompanied by high volume. As the professionals absorb the supply, however, the volume on downswings within the trading range tends to diminish. So that means we will ultimately see lower and lower volume, obviously, because there are not so many people have more coins to sell. When it appears that supply is likely to have been exhausted, the stock is ready for phase C. So remember, now we were kind of talking about phase B, and it is important, at least if we want to, look at Wyckoff's model, that in phase B is where we recognize the ultimate bottom. So we have this selling complex in phase A. In phase B, we should go even lower, but briefly, and then with high volume, and then from there on, we should basically move up. And now we come to phase C, because remember, as I said, there's two options based on Wyckoff. Either we can see in the phase C that we will see a new, he calls it a spring test, a spring, that we would see prices going below the previous low that we saw in November, or not. And I believe not, because if we look here at Bitcoin, if we identify here phase B, and here in phase C, we could have maybe gone down. I don't see us going down to below 15,000. That would mean that this would all be not valid compared to Wyckoff's schematic here. So what is it that we see in phase C? And remember, phase C, there is two options. In phase C, it is in phase C that the price goes through a decisive test of the remaining supply, allowing the smart money operators to ascertain whether the price is ready to go higher. And as we are seeing in the number one, the first chart, a spring is a price move below the support level of the trading range established in phases A and B. This is what we see here. So he wants the price to go below the lower than the low we saw in phase A and B. As we see, this is the real chart. We did not go below. So we move on. Let me see. So we need to see the spring is a price move below the support level of the trading range established in phases A and B, and that quickly reverses and moves back into the trading range. So quick. It is an example of a bear trap because the drop below support appears to signal resumption of the downtrend. However, in reality, though, this marks the beginning of a new uptrend, trapping the late sellers. So in his method, a successful test of supply represented by a spring or a shakeout provides a high probability investment opportunity. I think that's what Blockchain Bully was waiting for. A low volume spring or a low volume test of shakeout indicates that the coin is likely to be ready to move up. So this is a good time to initiate at least a partial long position. Remember, it's also not financial advice. But when we go in and look at the schematic number 2, he says, the appearance of a strength of, what is this, SOS, strength of, I don't know why I cannot remember those abbreviations. What do we have? Signs of strength. Yeah, sign of strength is SOS here. So the appearance of signs of strength shortly after a spring or shakeout validates the analysis. But as noted in accumulation schematic number 2, and remember the second one, which I think we are here, in phase C, we are not going below the lowest price that was established in phase A or in phase B. All right, so I think we're right here. If we look at the real chart of Bitcoin, didn't go lower. What he's saying here is that, as noted, however, testing of supply can occur up in the trading range without a spring or shakeout. So we don't necessarily have to go below. However, he also saying when this occurs, the identification of phase C can be very challenging. So let me know what you think about that. I believe that we are here in the schematic number 2, and it is harder to identify. However, then if we move on to phase D, so if we are correct, as I hope we are, what should follow is the consistent dominance of demand over supply. And this is evidenced by a pattern of advances, signs of strength on widening price spreads and increasing volume, as well as reactions. Last point of LPS is what is the last point of? It is a little complicated. Last point of support. Yeah. Show you on the chart in a second. So what he's saying here is that the increasing volume as well as reactions, last point of support, on smaller spreads and diminished volumes. During phase D, the price will move at least, this is important, at least to the top of the trading range. Last point of support in this phase are generally excellent places to initiate or add profitable long positions. So remember, we have to go through the trading range that was set in phase A and B. Let me show you how he displays it. So we can see in phase D, signs of strength. Remember here, this line and this line, this is the trading range. And in phase D, we have to break through it and never go lower than below this trading range that has been established in phase A and B. Now, if we look at the actual chart in phase D, if we are here, you can see that we moved higher than the first partial support and the selling and of course, I mean, you can see, and the high that we also set here in phase A. We broke through it. Not only did we break through it, we are using it now as a floor, as resistance. No, as a, as a level of support, I mean. So this yellow line here really I mean, to me it looks exactly the same like what Wyckoff is talking about. All the way through from phase A to phase D. So what he anticipates is, and the price has been going higher, the only thing that is, I mean, he did point out that volume could go lower, but as we can see here, the volume has gone extraordinarily low, right? There's hardly any, but so if we're right, then it's a good time to increase. And then the last phase, which I believe we're not there yet, the price leaves the trading range and demand is in full control and the markup is obvious to everyone. Setbacks such as shakeouts are usually short-lived. New higher level trading ranges comprising both profit-taking and acquisition of additional coins, reaccumulation by smart investors. These trading ranges are sometimes called stepping stones on the way to even higher price targets. Hallelujah. Let me know if this was just a bunch of nonsense, what I was, trying to share with you guys today. But actually going over it today, I was pretty impressed. So that's about that. Let me see if anybody is still here. And then let's move on. So guys, and let's see, what do you say, Sean Kelly? Yep, and and Sean Remy or Sorio is also here. Anyway, guys, I hope if you have anything that you wanna share about this philosophy of Wyckoff, then let me know. I will be live again tomorrow. And before we end, I did wanna share two other things with you guys. Ah, Blockchain Bully is here. Blockchain Bully, this was all for you. All for you. Remember, are we going to see I still believe the 12,000, that would be the Wyckoff's phase C? Or not? Let's see. But before we end, there was two things I wanted to point out. Remember our good friend, of course you do, Jerome Powell, right? Have you noticed it's for everybody, by banks, who manipulates, okay, I will get to that question in a second. Isn't it funny that every time we have a Federal Reserve meeting, everybody pays attention, right? Ooh, is it going to be 25 basis point or it's going to be 50? And where are we going to see, how are we going to get inflation down? And we need it down by 2%. I've always thought, could it be a little bit wrong, but this idiot, he knows exactly where inflation is going. Because I was thinking money supply, how much money we print into the system will obviously devalue the things that we buy. So the more money the Federal Reserve prints, the higher the inflation. And then I found this chart here. So money supply growth versus inflation. And you should go in, it's called long-term-trends.net. And I'll just explain what they're pointing out here. The M2 money supply, also referred to M2 money stock, is a measure for the amount of currency in circulation, right? And M2 includes M1 physical cash and checkable deposits. So the chart that we're seeing here plots the yearly M2 growth rate and the inflation rate, which is defined as the yearly change in CPI, Consumer Price Index. Right? So when inflation is high, prices for goods and services, as we all know, they will go up. And thus the purchasing power per unit of currency decreases. But, and this is actually important to point out here, historically, M2 has grown along with the economy. However, it has also grown along with the federal debt to GDP during wars and recessions. And in most recent history, M2 growth surpassed 10% in the crisis of 2001 and 2009, during which an expansionary monetary policy was deployed by the central bank, including large-scale asset purchases. However, according here to Bannister and Forward, money supply growth and inflation are inexorably linked. Obviously, right? Obviously. Inflation is only created out of how much new money you print or you circulate into the system. Okay, guys, I just wanted to, and that was the last thing I was just thinking, because sometimes if you have any questions, it takes 20 seconds before I can see them. So I just thought I would share this before. And let's see, what do you say? Good to see you, Johnny. Happy you're here. We're going downtown. What are you talking about, Bully? Yes, and okay, so Blockchain Bully still believes that we're going to see 12. That's going to be very interesting. What do you say, Boris? We know that Forex is manipulated by banks. Who manipulates crypto? It's the same people that are manipulated, that are behind the banks. That's what I believe. I believe that the future of finance on the blockchain has been established, at least since 10 years. And I think they are, setting it up because, as we are seeing, the current fiat system is going to implode, right? We all know that fiat systems, they only have around what it is, I don't know, circulation of 150 years. It always depends. A fiat-based monetary system will implode once you are unable to pay the interest of the amount of credit that you have created. And we are very close to that. What do you say, Dominic? You mean we will have again down like this from 2020? Well, you got to... Yeah. Blockchain Bully thinks we're going to go down to 12. I don't think so, but it is interesting. I also said if we're going to go down to 12, then I will invite the Blockchain Bully to Ukraine or to France and see. Then I got to meet this beautiful Blockchain Bully. Anyway, guys, that's it from me today. I love you so much. Remember, you are Lion. The fact that you are here and the fact that you come and support me, I love you so much. And love yourself first. And you are truly, truly a lion. See you tomorrow.
Courage, strength,